I'm finding every animal in the UK, and so far I found 163 out of 378 species. This week I searched in 3 more locations, and in the last one I finally found a creature that's eluded me for a while. Let's continue the search. The first place that I went to was Brandon Marsh, and the first bird I saw was this redwing. Redwing are winter visitors to the UK and were the first bird that was shown to locate fruit using ultraviolet vision. The waxy coating on berries such as bilberry reflects UV light, allowing these thrushes to locate them with ease. Studies have shown that urban blackbirds start singing earlier than their rural brothers, in response to artificial light and noise. Tufted ducks have been known to do something known as egg dumping. They will occasionally lay some eggs in a neighbouring duck's nest. This can lead to there being up to 22 eggs in a single nest for one female to look after.
So there's at least a couple of snipe back there. There's one in the very centre of the screen now. There's also this one in the middle now that's kind of moving around. Might be a few more tucked back there, but I can't quite see.
Snipe are some of the hardest birds to spot in the UK. They are usually found in wetlands where they wade in the shallows looking for food. The tip of their beak is flexible and full of nerves. This helps them to sense things like worms that are deep underground before opening their beak to snatch them up. In the 19th and early 20th century, great egrets were extensively hunted for their feathers, which were primarily used for fancy hats. They nearly became extinct during this period, but thankfully their population has recovered since people stopped sticking egret on their noggins. After watching that great egret do quite a nice little jig, I got some shots of a different bird that's famously hard to film. Hold on to your hats for this fact. Chetti's warblers have 10 tail feathers, instead of the usual 12. It only started breeding in the UK since the 1970s, so it's one of the newest species and it makes this incredible call. Song thrushes are one of the only UK species to eat snails. They crack them open by smashing them against rocks. This behaviour is unique to these birds. Towards the end of the day here, I had my craziest encounter yet. One of you! I bumped into Jacob, who is one of my awesome subscribers. It was incredibly surreal being recognised. I thought that it might happen one day, but I wasn't expecting for it to happen so soon. Thanks for subscribing, Jacob, and it was really nice to meet you and some of your family. The next place I went to was Draycote Water. The wind was absolutely howling, so it wasn't the cosiest 5-mile walk I've ever done. The first feathered friend I spotted was a lapwing. The collective noun for lapwing is a deceit. The name relates to their habit of faking injuries to draw attention from predators that take an interest in their nests. If anyone ever picks on my son at preschool, I might try collapsing nearby to see if it works with humans too. There were also tons of grebes here, both great-crested and little ones. Red-crested grebes eat their own feathers. They do this to create pellets that can be ejected to rid themselves of parasites in their gastric systems. I did the same thing with my hair, that's why it's all gone. Little grebes are another feather eater. They feed their feathers to their young in order to protect their stomach from fish bones. They also carry their young on their backs to protect them from predators. Yes, only gone and found some alpacas. Ew. Then I spotted an awesome bird that I've only encountered once since starting my quest. Yes! Merganser! That's awesome! Merganser have serrated edges to their bills, which help them to grip even the slipperiest of fish. This gives them their other name of sawbills. They will often fish in groups and even use team tactics such as forming a semicircle and then driving fish into shallower waters, where catching them is much easier. These guys are pretty rock and roll for the duck world. There isn't a consensus on exactly why wagtails wag their tails. Several theories have been put forward, such as flushing out prey with the movement. But as they wag their tails when doing other things, this theory seems unlikely. It's nice to know there's still some mystery in the world, eh?
No way. Kingfisher.
Kingfishers know how to woo the ladies. During courtship, they will catch a fish and bring it to the female. They will then try to feed it to her, but if that's unsuccessful, he'll just eat it himself. So if you see any chubby kingfishers around, it will either be a particularly desirable female or a very undesirable male, full of his own fish. So no new species were to be had here, unfortunately, but I still had some great sightings. Time for the final location of the week. I've come to Warnham Nature Reserve again today, and I'm hoping to finally find this marsh tit. I've looked for this thing like 4 or 5 times now, so I'm really hoping we can see that, as that would be a new species. And another one that we could see, but it's very unlikely, is the lesser spotted woodpecker. There have been sightings of it here, and apparently one's been spending the winter here on his holidays. So we'll be looking up in all of these trees and hopefully track down at least one of those today. I had also seen online that there were reports of siskins here recently, which wouldn't be a new creature for the quest, but they're still awesome and uncommon birds, so I was hopeful of spotting one of those too. We started off with the sitting hides that have the bird feeders. We decided to have a break from the hides and go for a walk around the woodland areas instead. Last time I was here I met a very tame robin in this area, and this time I came armed with something better than a tiny slug to try and entice it onto my hand. There's something so magical about having a wild animal like this trust you enough to sit on you. You might be surprised how easy it is to feed a robin like this if you have a bit of patience. I was a gardener for many years, and robins would often stay very close by when I was working, and I fed several from my hand with juicy wormies. See you later, pal. Robins will catch bugs like ants and millipedes and allow them to spray their chemical weapons on themselves. They will then rub the liquid over their feathers to get rid of parasites like mites and ticks. Lynx deodorant has the same sort of effect on any woman who owns a nose. After a bit more walking, I heard an unusual bird call, so I got out Merlin to identify it and was very excited by what it turned out to be.
I think that's one. I'm pretty sure that's a marsh tit.
Finally, I had found one after at least 4 or 5 trips to this place with this bird in mind.
That's awesome.
It might not seem like the most extraordinary bird to some of you, but I was still super excited to see this animal and add another new species to the total. There was once a myth that marsh tits were poisonous or inedible. This might have contributed to their population's historical decline, as local folklore sometimes discouraged their protection. I can confirm after catching this one though, that they're not poisonous and are actually quite delicious. Next we went to have a look out to one of the lakeside hides, and pretty quickly we were treated to this sighting of a volley of long-tailed tits in the bulrushes. There was even a shred of sunlight for these shots, which was a rare winter treat, allowing me to get these extremely crispy shots. LTTs make nests that look like this. They're made from moss, lichen, hair and one special ingredient, cobwebs. This surprising addition allows the nest to expand as the chicks grow. They also line the nests with an average of 1,500 feathers. They do this to regulate the temperature, and they can even accurately gauge how many to use in order to achieve their desired coziness. Which is nice for the chicks, but that means there's a poor little featherless bird somewhere, wondering how it got so badly mugged by birds that were also known as flying teaspoons. It was getting a bit late in the day, so we headed back to the bird feeder hides to have one last look for siskins. This poor little chap is suffering from Phrygia papillomavirus, that one, which is caused by a mite and results in the birds having trunk-like scaly feet. It can eventually lead to birds losing toes, feet or even entire legs. This issue mainly affects finches, and recently the RSPB has stopped selling flat bird feeders, as it seems as if these contribute to the spread of diseases such as this. There was also this rat knocking about, and I noticed he had a little hole that he came through occasionally, so I waited patiently for him to get this shot. After some more patience, a couple of siskins finally showed up. As I've mentioned a few times recently, it's been an incredibly grey winter here in the UK, so it's always nice to spend some time looking at all these brightly coloured birds. And siskins especially add a nice pop of yellow to lift the veil of never-ending sadness that winter brings each year. Nah, it's not all that bad, but boy am I about ready for spring now. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and let me know what your favourite animal in this episode was in the comments. See you in the next one.